We're up, are we? Good morning. Good morning, good evening. Back to the octopus. The other work is done. Right on the 8 o'clock mark, yes indeed. We try, you know. Trouble with being on time though, you know, is you set expectations and then tomorrow or something when I'm in the bathroom or something instead, late or sleep in, everybody's going to think I'm dead. What's wrong with Dave? Call an ambulance. Work's been coming along well here. It's possible that today might see the last of the tentacles. I'm not quite sure. I might get them done this morning. I'm not sure how much time we have here. And once they're done, I'll move on to the main body of the octopuses, octopi. Did I miss much? Just started, guy. Just started. I guess there's probably people here this morning who perhaps haven't seen the change in the view here. Still looking for feedback on this. A couple of days ago I moved the camera. For the past few weeks it's been on the floor facing my carving bench so that the view has shown what people see if they visit the room and watch me. But I was thinking that was a bit difficult to see the actual cutting action of the blade, so a couple of days I moved the camera and it's now behind my right shoulder. It seems to me it gives a better view of the blade going into the wood, like this angle here. But the downside is when I switch over to cut off the backside like this, I think my hand is blocking the camera. So it's plus minus. Maybe I should rotate the views now and then go back to the other one. I don't know. So if you got thoughts about this, let me know. Yokai, yeah, the yokai's done. The key block's done. And later this afternoon I'll be shipping it over to Kobe, to Kawasaki-san, our young Japanese carver in Kobe. She'll be doing the Jed side of the image. Well, that's not for a while yet. We're way ahead of schedule on that. She's doing right now, she's working on one of the prints for the Kickstarter right now. And then I have to send her the color blocks for yokai number 11. There's just so many projects going on layered on top of each other. Chon-san, the young Hong Kong boy who's coming along really well for us, he's carving the new boss number 1. He's in Hong Kong right now. He's carving it down there. He was here up to last week, but his visa ran out, so he had to make a quick trip back to Hong Kong, took the block with him. He's going to finish it off there and send it to me within a couple of days, I think. Then I'm carving this one here. Kawasaki-san, our young Japanese carver, is doing the serpent strikes, the snake image. Young Yumi-san, who started working for us this year, she's carving the dragon's gift image. Got 4 carvers working for us now. It's wonderful. The printing side, as you know, if you've seen the Facebook yesterday or the blog post I made yesterday, the printing side is not so happy these days. This round the world business, these heroes prints, that's what happens to them normally, By the time anybody gets one of our heroes prints, it's already been internationally traveled. Jed does the designs, of course, over in his own place in America. and he does the designs through a combination of digital and analog. He first roughs out the composition in digital form, Photoshop, whatever. But we want them, we demand, and he wants to do it too, that they must be brush stroked. So he prints out the composition in its rough sketch form onto large sheets of paper, puts them on a light table, he's got a big light table, and draws them with a brush on thin paper, so that the lines of all the heroes' prints are drawn with an actual brush. It's analog. He scans that back in, and he has to do it piece by piece because it's way too big for a scanner. He scans it back in, does a quick colorization job just to give us an idea of what's needed, then sends it over to me. And we throw away the color layers from the Photoshop file, not throw them away, we get rid of them. And using his scanned brushstrokes, we print that out, put it in a block, just like sort of what you're seeing here, and carve it. And long story short, when we're done, when we're finished the key block and color blocks and making the physical prints, we wrap them up and send them back to Jet. So the prints themselves all go back to Jet. He inspects them, signs them, seals them, does his numbering thing that he does on the heroes. And then two things happen. Some he sells from his own website, ukiyoheroes.com, and some we purchase from him at a wholesale rate, and they come in our shop here. They come back to Japan. They've been made in Japan, sent to America for signing. They come back to Japan and go in our shop here. Then maybe a visitor from America picks one up here in the shop, buys it, takes it back to America again. So the print goes across the Pacific for the third time. The way I'm describing it, it sounds like we're sort of the most environmentally carbon unfriendly business in the world. And well, in that sense, it's not so great. But overall, I think our carbon footprint, or whatever they call it these days, is wonderful. We have no machines. Even the paper is not made by machines. The only electricity we use here is electric light bulbs. So I think we're doing okay, actually, overall in our energy use, except for that one quirk that prints go back and forth across the Pacific. It's kind of cool. The whole thing's an international deal. American guy designing, this British-Canadian guy carving. Our printing staff is all Japanese. The young Chinese boy now coming in to work with us as a carver. It's great, wonderful. There's the question sound. So sue me. I think I should perhaps choose a different sound. Glasses on. questions. Find this, excuse me. William Francis, hey, how you doing, guy? Technical question, hey. The young man just asked a question. He's carving, working as a developing carver, working by himself, but how to work this out. The question is about the oil on the blocks. I don't know, what do we do? Actually, I'm not doing that today at all. I don't have any oil applied to these blocks. We sometimes use camellia oil for a couple of things. One is if the tracing here was not quite clear enough, putting a bit of oil on the back of this turns the paper transparent, so you can really see the drawing really easily. It also has the side effect of making the knife slide through the wood really easier, and I don't know, they say it softens the wood, but I don't get that. I think it's a slippery lubricant effect. But William, no, I'm not using any of that here. Don't see any need for it. The wood is not all that hard. We're carving very small amounts at a time. The knife is sharp. I don't know what kind of wood you've got. You can try it. It's easy enough to try. Just you mentioned sesame oil. I don't know. I don't have any experience with using that, nor do I know of anybody else here doing that. I'm not sure if that's a mistranslation from something in the old days, The reason we use camellia oil is because it doesn't get smelly as time goes by. If you've got it on your desk or on your fingers or on the knife or whatever, it's not well, I guess it is a vegetable oil, it's from a plant, but it doesn't go smelly. Whereas a typical sort of vegetable oil, the kind you use in your kitchen, it gets rotten. And I don't know about sesame oil. I've never had any experience with that. I'm not sure if that's a mistranslation from the old days or a misunderstanding. I don't know. How's the design you're doing with Jed coming along? Can I ask? Is that okay? Is that public knowledge or? Planning to do video tutorials for newbies. In the short term, no, I'm sorry. I know there's rather a lot of information already on my website, not in video format, but there's information there. I've got that little ebook that I did some years ago. That's got a few short video things in it. To try and take on the idea of teaching by video here at the moment is beyond what we can even remotely think about. Let's cut down a few of these at once here. 5 minutes goes by quickly. So there you go, video tutorials for newbies. No, I know it's a mix. I feel sort of some responsibility to help teach people what's going on here, but also this is a real busy working factory here, and we don't have a school. We've made that specific choice not to run, classes in a school here. We've got our print parties, which are an experience to help add excitement and interest to our shop and get people involved with us. But there's just no way I can take on the idea of running a thing like a school. I don't know. As I mentioned just now, there's a ton of material on my website. Woodblock printmaking itself is not difficult to understand. You peruse some of the information that's out there, mine and other people's, give it a try. You would never be successful in this field anyway unless you have some kind of ability to do problem solving and figuring out what's going on. You've got to be that sort of person anyway, because it's an essential part of the day-to-day work. What's going on? How can I do this? What's happening here? So you've got to be a bit of a person that can, figure things out. So grab the information that's out there, give it a try. Get any wood, any knife, any pigment, any paper, any whatever. Just get started with some of the information that's there. And just give it a try. The young man that posted the question here a moment ago in the email, he put his real name in, William. I don't know, are you in the thread there, sir? Can you maybe drop into the conversation there and recommend like getting started and stuff? Because you seem to have done that pretty well. Maybe link to your Instagram photographs showing people what you've done so far and stuff like that. Please pop in and do that if you like. Got a bit too deep there, mistake. Once you get one corner too deep, you gotta trench out till you get there. It's gone now. There's a link there that William just posted in his Instagram. Have a look at it, guys, because there's a perfect example of somebody who has a desire to go and do this. And step one, jump in and try it. Step two, then whatever, ask around and look for more information. But get trying first. Good, good, good. Somebody else to help talk and answer questions. Go for it, William. Thank you. Microscope, no, I don't use it all the time at all. Absolutely not. This particular job you're seeing, absolutely, I need it for this job. And that Kiyosai key block too. So it's a bit, it's a bit of a distortion of my normal work pattern that you've only seen me since I started twitching. You've only seen me using this. I'm sorry. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Well, you'll see it at some future time. But what I use this. This is the normal daily. Does it show? It's a lens like this that sits over the desk. I look down through it. And if you've seen different blog posts or different videos and stuff like that, that's mostly what I use. But this octopus is demanding a level that doesn't help me with. So anybody who's thinking about trying this work, don't get the idea that, oh my God, it's such a surgeon's level of microscopic blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. Nothing like that. I'm sure William over there is not even using any kind of lens yet. He's young. Don't know how fine work he's carving, but this is not a requirement at all. This is just my specific situation now. At my age and my particular eyes and the kind of work we're trying to do right now. It's too bad. It's probably leaving the wrong impression about wood buck printmaking in general. There's a question about sharpening, and asking if we could show it on stream sometime, and yes, and actually we did that last night. In last night's stream, while I was cutting, the tip of the knife popped off, so we took a break. I took a break from carving and did the sharpening. Yeah, a couple of people have asked this, so yes, what I'll probably do, I was thinking about doing this morning, but I was running a bit late, so on one morning, instead of sharpening before starting everything, I'll just hold it off and start the stream and do the sharpening in the stream. So yeah, sensible question, and yes, I will do that. There's no secrets there. It's not something that I'm trying to keep out of sight. So. And who knows, if I break the tip again in a few minutes, we may see the sharpening sooner than that. So yes, coming up. Also, something else I started last night. We've been talking about this before. Twitch has now, I've been on Twitch more than a few weeks, and Twitch has started to remove the older streams that I did. As I've mentioned before, I've downloaded them all myself. I downloaded every night, each day's streams. And last night, for the first time, I sat there for a while and I started picking out highlights. And the idea, as I mentioned before, for YouTube, what I'm going to do is put these, it doesn't make any sense to put these streams up in their entirety on YouTube. YouTube's a different kind of environment. But the idea is to do a highlight reel I'm going to say every week, no way I can do that, but every now and then do a highlight reel of 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute clips from the streams. Either something that showed an interesting carving point, or somebody was saying choose an interesting story or whatever. I don't know. But that's the way it's going to go. And I started that last night because specifically that, I'd seen that sharpening, so I caught that clip and filed it away separately last night. So there could be a way too for you guys. I keep saying guys. Somebody told me it's okay these days to say guys. If you see something run by here, it might not be a bad idea to drop me a mail or drop me an idea saying, Dave, that would be a good thing to catch for the next highlight reel. Because it's going to be a bit chaotic. I can't play back every 90-minute session to try and look for what might have been interesting, And I can't keep track of it while I'm doing it. So yeah, if you can help me identify highlights that I could then quickly go in and copy paste and put together into a YouTube video with an intro and some talk. And they will all have to have the sound separately edited, because we've learned now that these Twitch streams, the audio and video is off sync by about 1/3 of a second. The audio is late on all the streams. It doesn't matter while I'm talking because you can't see my mouth, but anything that makes sound, the audio is not synced up. I have no idea why they do that. It's not at my end, it's other channels too, I've seen it. The audio I'm broadcasting right now is plugged into the camera. It's going through HDMI, perfectly synced audio and video. And over at Twitch's end, for some reason, it gets desynced. I don't know why. So that's going to be an extra step in the video editing for the highlight reel. Stream I was watching, I saw the audio desync. There's a couple of woodworkers in Australia. I forget what they're called. Woodworking something. There's a guy who does different, making furniture and stuff like that. There's two of them run a thing together. Because it's woodworking, there's lots of hammering and lathing and stuff like that. And you can see the audio is totally unsynced. I don't know if that's a bug with Twitch or if they think it doesn't matter, or I don't know. when I was on my Kyosai block today hammering it, it just became bizarre. Does it not matter for the gaming streams, the main Twitch business? I don't know. Bit too deep there too. Hey, look at this linking to the sharpener. Nice. So cool to have that kind of support, you know. Again, a bit too deep there. This is another place where you notice the audio desync. Knife goes in and then pop, the sound doesn't match. Hard spot there. News, as Paul here in the stream is referring to yesterday's bad news. I know, whatever, it's just people there who haven't seen this. I posted yesterday on our blog and on Facebook about some bad news we've had the past few days. Don't really want to hash it all out again. Anyway, whatever. Our young printer, Aimi-san, who's sort of our star printer, she's pregnant and she's leaving. And I have to be really careful. I posted this as bad news on the blog yesterday. And the other girls in the workshop here were not so happy with that because one man's bad news is... Why am I laughing? Anyway, Ami-san's gone. She's here for a couple more weeks doing simple, small work because she feels like a delicate flower. And then she's gone. 5 years of training and work and practice is done for. She's going to have a baby, so... So it's not something I really want to talk about a lot. So it's just too dangerous. It's a minefield. So whatever. She knows actually when she told me. It was a funny conversation. I'd love to. Too bad it wasn't on video because she knows that it's a wonderful, good news thing, but she knows exactly what I felt inside. So I did the right thing. I said congratulations, and I meant it. Actually, we had it was a good conversation. There's no phoniness because we both know all the background feelings, So I said straight up, both things are true. I'm happy for you as a human being. Now what are we going to do, And we chatted about both parts of it. But that's it. She's gone, What do we got? Should we start here? This row go all the way down. That might be what I'm doing today here. It's 8:41. Lots of time left. And for those of you who've been with us for a couple of years or more, a lot of the Twitch people don't know this, but we built a new workshop here in Asakusa. We opened the shop 3 years ago, which was just on the second floor. Then a year later, a year and a couple of months later, we got access to the third floor. People moved out. We had known that this was coming. And we opened the third floor and built a room for our printers. And at the time, we had 4 printers. Ayumi-san, Kanai-san, Ishikawa-san, and... actually, no, Subikan wasn't with us yet. We had only 3, but we built the room for 4 because it worked well for the layout. And my staff member, Aoyama-san, built the room over the New Year's holiday. And on the first day in January, Kanai-san, one of the printers, came to me with that same news. She was pregnant and she left the same day and hasn't been back and won't be back. She's, a mother. So her desk never got used by her. And jumping ahead now, this is a year and a half later. Ayumi-san, our other star printer, has come to me with the same news. So our print room is now down to 2 women who are nicely competent. They're doing well. They're doing the subscription prints. They're very careful, very detailed, doing nice little work, and they are insanely slow. It's okay, that's not an insult, it's just a description. That's the kind of people they are. They're not fully fledged craftsmen, or not trying to be, don't think of themselves in that term. But me now, I have no full craftsman printers here on board anymore. So the new Heroes prints, the reboot of the Heroes series, is being done for us. It's already started. It's being done for us by Kubota-san, who's been doing our great wave printing now for a year. Doing a really fine job. He's retired, actually. He retired from Adachi. Very well trained. Nice guy on top of that. Competent, fast. He's in the last few years of being able to work at this. He's got a young apprentice, Yamamoto-san, Yamamoto-kun, we were supposed to call him. He's coming along well. He's actually, probably, we think, he's doing most of the work on the Great Wave, but Kubota-san signs off on it. That's the way any workshop works, The prints don't get the name of the apprentices, the prints get the name of the master, but in this case it's probably Yamamoto-kun who's been doing most of the work. Very, very fine job. So after I got Ayumi-san's news last week, I went straight over to those guys and basically booked them both to work as much as they can for us over the next year. So the new prints that are going from the Kickstarter campaign starting in a few days are all going to be done by those guys. And as I said, it's already started. It's costing me, but whatever, that's just the way it goes. So we're kind of set. The subscription prints will be handled by the two ladies upstairs. Next year's subscription series is a little bit simpler in scope than the one we did this year. It's more of a fun series. We did that Chibi Heroes series 4 years ago, and it was good fun. The prints were quite inexpensive, clean and simple and funny, relatively easy to print, because back then that was for Ayumi-san to learn how to print. So we've simplified next year's series compared to what we did this year, which was kind of over the top. 2 prints every month, detailed work. Next year we're going back to some roots there, simple and clean and fun, less expensive, easy to collect. That'll be announced sometime, I don't know, after the Kickstarter's done. We don't accept too many things at the same time. See, lots going on. Next hire will be male. I'm trying. There just aren't the guys out there. I wrote about that on the blog post yesterday. I should maybe, I can't link to it, I'm busy. If this bad news, Ayumi-san quitting, and the other bad news we got from the travel company. I put a blog post up yesterday. It's mokuhankan.com/conversations, the most recent post. If somebody can maybe drop it in here. mokuhankan.com/conversations, and look for the newest post and throw it in. What's that? The Facebook link. There's a cleaner link somebody put in. Yeah, good. Water bottle here somewhere. It's going to be another warm day today in Tokyo, I think. Japanese women, you were asking about workforce, it's really in flux here right now. Really, really, really in flux. The traditional way, if you go back when I first came here, that was it. Pregnant, go home, be a mother. Forget about working. That was, 30, 40 years ago, whatever. It's different now. Many women do want to work. There's a huge demand for daycare. There's not enough daycare because, cultural practices have changed faster than the infrastructure is able to change to keep up with them. Especially in a situation where there's a huge population decline going on. So it's difficult for a city office somewhere to justify opening new daycare centers when they know that 30 years from now, there's going to be absolutely no kids at all. So it's a hugely difficult problem for managers, social managers, governments and stuff. In my specific case, it doesn't help. The job we're doing, whatever, a typical woman working for Toyota, whatever, she gets pregnant, goes home, does the maternity leave thing, then wants to come back, and she can do sort of a working at home and do some spreadsheet work for Toyota or do some blogging or whatever on her computer at home with her baby next to her. You can sort of maybe do that kind of work. I'm maybe being a bit insulting, whatever, I don't know. But there are kinds of work that women can do while also taking care of a kid. This is different. You sit down in the morning to start a batch of prints, and once you start, the moisture control, the regular, the moisture on the block, a phone call comes in and you're done. You're dead. That next print or the next two prints are spoiled. It's not the kind of work you can do with a kid in the house. You know, either an infant or a toddler. A toddler, give me a break. It just doesn't work like that way. So she can't sort of work part-time while taking care of a kid. You've either got to, you know, you're a craftsman. It's an actual manufacturing, difficult craftsman's job. So if you were willing to, you know, do the dump your kid at the daycare, if you could find a daycare, if you could dump the kid there, come to work, you know, you've got to be back like at 2:30 or 3 to pick up the kid because he's only 2 years old. It's just insanely difficult. And anyway, the two that are working for us who have gone this way, Kanai-san and Aimi-san, have no intention of doing that. They are going to be mothers. So they're done. They're gone. They're cooked. As I said, Kanai-san left the same day, and she'd only been like pregnant for a month and a half. Aimi-san's going to be leaving next week, 2 weeks from now. They're going to be mothers. So by the time her kid is whatever, 3, 4, 5 years old, maybe they're going to school, she could come while the kid's in school, there's going to be another kid coming. They never do one, they do two. That's it. She's out of here. But for society as a whole here in Japan, it's hugely in flux and it's hugely confused and hugely difficult for young mothers right now. The only chance for them is a husband who's got a good enough job to support the family. Not so common anymore. Or if they have a skill set that allows them to do something tapping on a computer screen while they're taking care of a baby at the same time. Our particular skill set requirements don't match that. Dump the kid. Well, no, whatever. I mean, is my own personal biases against stuff are showing here too. You know, remember, I was born in the early 50s. I'm in the middle of two worlds here. I'm a guy who grew up in the 50s and 60s, and I'm also now a manager living in the 2010s. There's a different mindset going on, and I'm on board with both of them. And when I was born, it was the common culture. The woman became 100% mother, stay at home. The idea of going to work was inconceivable, and it sort of wasn't necessary. The guy brought home, my father brought home a paycheck that supported us. They even bought a house and stuff like that. So she was a full-time mother. So in the early years, there was no question of daycare and stuff like that. And that's the kind of upbringing I had, which I think really sort of helped me get off to a good start. I wasn't overprotected because she really forced me to do stuff. But there was, you know, the mother in the house all the time. That was the way it was back in the 50s, 60s. I get that it's different now, both from socially and from the things that women want to do. They want to have careers, they want to be a doctor, they want to be a woodblock printmaker. This is a new reality. And it would really be cool. I mean, it's our responsibility in society to try and structure a society so that that half of the population can, as much as possible, do both of those things. Do their mothering work, or whatever word you want to use for it, and also have a sensible career. Of course, all of our societies are struggling with this, and we're nowhere near sorting out how to do it. Whether it will be possible or not, I don't even know. My own daughters have taken two different approaches to this. My older daughter said, I'm going to do the kid thing now and just work through it and try and do what I can to make a living, and then once the kids are grown up, I'll be free Yahoo, and the rest of my life will be enjoyable. She had her kids early, my older daughter. The younger daughter, more intellectual, has said, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get to be a millionaire first, and so that I don't have to work, and then I'll have babies. Two specifically different approaches to it, So the first one is well through her program. She's got my grandchildren, my grandsons now, they're like 13 and 11 or something. And the second daughter, it's not quite working out quite so well because she's not a millionaire yet, and yet the clock is now getting close to the time when she's going to have to cut or run, whatever the expression is, do it or forget it. Did I hear the question? Oh. Whatever, I know, I sort of promised myself I wouldn't do this sort of thing, and not to be insulting to you, I'm sorry. The question is related to sort of, I'm not sure what the word is, trivia, what's my favorite music and stuff like that, and I don't really think about that kind of stuff anymore, I'm sorry. I just, for better or worse, my life these days is really just sort of focused on this stuff that I'm doing. And there's two ways to think of it, that my life is sad because all I do is work, or I'm the happiest guy on the planet because I spend 24 hours a day doing stuff that I dig, But no, favorite music and stuff, I'm sorry, I don't have really any thoughts about that sort of thing these days. It's an interesting question behind that, though, A friend of mine here, about my age, don't have much chance to speak to him these days, but we had some email contact a couple of months back, and he was into the Dave, he sort of gave me a bit of advice, friendly advice, happy advice. He's retired himself. He was an English teacher here, then he set up his own business. As I say, we're about contemporary, so he must be about my age, 65. He's been watching me, how much, what I'm doing. He says, Dave, please, roll this back a bit, stop and smell the flowers, or you're going to regret it later, And he didn't say it in an evil way, just, friendly guy, just chatting about life and stuff. And I gotta say, I forget what I actually replied to him in the mail. I said, no, at one point they're going to throw me in this pine box, and people are going to put a bunch of flowers in there together with me, and that's the time when I'll be stopping to smell the flowers before they, throw me 6 feet under or whatever. So, and he laughed back, okay, whatever. But his experience was different. I think I read somewhere, in fact, maybe he, in the same email exchange, he may have sent that as an email where some guy that posed the question that, okay, there you are, it's at the end, you've come to the end of your life, you're in that bed, and it's pretty clear that you've only got a few minutes left and your breaths are running out. Who among you would say, man, I wish I'd spent more time at work, versus I wish I'd spent more time at home? It's posed as that either or question. I can put my hand up. Me, I wish I'd spent more time at work. As I said, there's probably people there that will look at that and shake their heads and think, my God, how sad is that? And whatever. I don't find it sad in that sense at all. I'm sorry. So, fooling myself or not, I don't know. Got to remember to copy this thread here and there because it's disappearing. Maybe a cherry box and a chisel will sneak in with you. That's a funny thing to mention, you know. I know it's not a cherry box. They use paulownia wood here when they're sending somebody off to the crematorium. There's almost no burial here in Japan. It's all cremation, and it's a paulownia box. Pretty simple, pretty clean. There's no big deal about, you know, giant expensive coffins because they're just going to get burned. And we've had a number of times during the years when I had been in some situation where, you know, roll back a second, there used to be many, many, many more printers and carvers in this field. Going back to Meiji time, there was thousands of them. Even when I came here, there was hundreds, you know, and now there's down to dozens. So these guys have all passed away. What happens to their tools? And the easy, quick answer is, of course, the tools get distributed among whatever apprentices the guy has, or, you know, followers or people who learn from him or whatever. And failing that, the tools are picked up by the other guys in the Craftsmen's Association. The wife just usually, you know, calls somebody over, come and pick these things up. But I also heard from a printer, and he talked about when his master, the guy he had learned from, I should avoid using that word master, the guy he had learned from had died. He goes in the box, and there's his best baron, hands crossed on his chest, and there it went, and up it went. And at this point, you know, hearing the story, I start crying, and oh my God, you know, a tool like that, I mean. But of course, you understand what the mood and the thought is, that he's going to need this in the next life. And although that's a kind of a nice sentiment, you can kind of perhaps maybe guess my actual feelings on that. So we've bandied around here in the shop, you know, this idea in a completely joking manner, you know, when Dave is being sent off to the workshop in the sky, you know, which one of the tools are we going to throw in the box with him, you know. And I have, you know, insisted to them with a total joking face on me that, yeah, the best Baron, number 6, the Baron in the workshop here, the one that I've had since 1989, that's going with me. And they're all like, no way, that's the best Baron in the building. And I'm like, it's mine. It's going with me. I'm going to use it. And they're not really quite sure if I'm joking. And, you know, neither am I. Okay. These are neat parts. As you can see, it's sort of assembly line processes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 together, and move along, bang, 1, 2, 3, 4 together. Lots of times there's an assembly line aspect to this. There you go. Okay, it's going to be dots for the next little while, gang. Let's clear the back side here. What's the time now? 9 o'clock. It'll be dots now till the staff comes, 9:25 or 9:30 or so. It's Saturday morning. We've got party reservations too. It's going to be a busy day here. Party reservations. Now, speaking about yesterday's news, how that's going to work for the next 2 years, I don't know. Yeah, Send one of my dead knives. Yes, of course, of course. I mean, there is a practical way to do this, you know. Barons do wear out. In fact, that baron that I was talking about, the one we've labeled number 6, we had to put numbers on them because we have so many staff here. They don't know. It was difficult to identify what each baron is. They're all different strengths and sizes and moods and conditions and feelings, you know. So we've numbered them all. We have an ongoing numbering and numbering changing system. But anyway, the one I bought, the very first home baron, real baron I got, it's in the workshop here, it's number 6. And it's changed dramatically over the years because they wear. The coil inside is made of bamboo. It's just vegetable fiber. It's soft. It gets pressed. It gets flattened. There's a regular maintenance thing where you rotate the coil inside, you know, minutes by minutes, so it doesn't wear all in the same place. Then you flip it over and use the back side. This happens months by months. Then after a couple of years of doing this, we send it back to the maker and he steams open the coil, rewinds it again so that the unworn parts are on the outside and the worn parts are hidden inside. And that baron has had that happen to it twice. And if I ask Goto-san, the baron maker, to do it again, I know exactly what he's going to say. He's going to say, "Can't help you. It's been through too many times. We're done." And it's not over for that baron. What happens is, as I said, because they're different strengths, without getting too technical here, the coil is wrapped or braided in a certain way as to have X bumps, can I say per inch, whatever. And we need strong ones with fewer bumps per inch, and we need delicate barons with more bumps per inch. You know, you can see the way that the pressure is applied to the paper. And as a baron wears out, the bumps get flatter and flatter and flatter, and the power that's in that baron decreases. So they never get thrown away. They just simply get weaker. So a baron that might have been used for printing a smooth, thick background color that needed power, that needed strong coils, as it wears out, the coils become weaker. No problem. You use it for a job that requires a weaker tool. So that baron that I got in 1989, it's now been, I can't say demoted, it's been reassigned, and it's now a baron that's used for delicate key block work. Because it doesn't need that kind of work doesn't need such strong power. The bumps on the coil have worn to the point where it's just right for that kind of job. But there's a limit to what you can do with that as it goes over the years, down and down and down. It gets weaker and weaker and weaker until there really isn't any work left for a baron that's so weak it doesn't apply any pressure whatsoever. So they do eventually come to the end of their life. And that number 6 we've got, the one I'm talking about, my favorite one, my first one, my favorite one, is still very much in use. But it's got nowhere near the power that it had when it was younger. Whatever, it's matching my own life, I guess. So the more I think about that, you know, if I can, whatever length of time I hang on for, and whatever length of time that baron hangs on for, who knows? It could be that we're both, you know, running out together, and my request to them to let me take it with me. At that point, they might be willing to say, you know, okay, that's it, there it goes, it's actually done anyway, so throw it in the box. We'll see what happens, you know. I won't be around to argue the point, so. Clip the Dave Graves story. When I was talking about the YouTube highlights, what I was trying to talk about was that I didn't mean like clip them in the Twitch sense, which I think allows 30 seconds or something. I don't know. What I meant was take note of the episode or something, and if it's possible, I don't know. Is there a timing showing on the stream? People are watching it. I don't have any idea. It was more of a remind me what stuff to look for when I'm doing the editing for the highlights and stuff. So I'm gonna get more than I bargained for, I think. Okay, here's the dot area isolated. Let's chop them. It is getting hot here. Looks like lots of good information being passed forth back in there. Francis, thank you for this. I'll read all this later and stuff like that, but thank you for throwing in some information and advice there. Excuse me. I think that one might be a bit small. It's so quiet where I am here, and it seems like that talking session over there is so busy. Wonderful. Great. William, you're still there. You're talking about that stuff. Can I ask, are you going to think about starting streaming? You can open a Twitch channel? I can tell you it does wonders for making sure you get back to the bench on a regular schedule. It might be a lot of fun, you know. People, you know, encouraging and watching and helping you while you get your thing up and running, you know. Oh, here we go. We all know what time it is then. That's a bit earlier. Maybe it's Ishikawa-san. She's going to be printing upstairs today. She's going to look at me with one question in her eye. Did you remember to take my paper out of the freezer this morning? And that's the tone of voice that's going to be in her eye, because last week, one day, I forgot. Actually, she had forgotten to put the magnet on the freezer door in the right spot, and I hadn't picked it up and whatever. Anyway, she was really upset with me. Paper's frozen. It takes about 2 hours to unfreeze, and she had to fool around and do other work while waiting for it. So for me, it's my first job in the morning. I get up and take a pee and then straight upstairs, and whatever's on the freezer door as a memo, I take those prints out of the freezer. No, it's not her. It's putting lights on. It must be Kawai-san, kan? Getting ready for another day. Kawai-san, good morning. We're live. So, how you been watching? Didn't talk about you today. Sorry. Yeah, back to the octopus. So the Kyosai block is done. Kyosai block. So finished yesterday.
2 days? Only 2 days, 3 days?
No. I think it was 6 sessions. I don't remember. I'll have to count later. Actually, it's good too because I can tell now how long it took. I think it was 6 sessions, 90 minutes each. So about 9 or 10 hours.
スマホ手で too small ですね。やっぱりここの
when you're watching on the phone, yeah, I can't help that.
ここのところ見て。なんか
結構
5分ぐらいであっさりシュッシュッシュッシュッってやってました。
あ、ひげの方？
ここの部分見てました。
そう。いや、早い方がベストです。丁寧にギューッとやらん。でも
結構小さいですね。画面だとちょっと
この道具。いや、丁寧すぎて良くないです。用意して、ポン。そう。そうしないと自然な形になりませんよ。そう。
流れっていうかスピード
角度一緒でしょ。筆で
そうですね。
グーとかグー、そうちょっと自然になりますよ。
内側先やって外
覚えてないですね。なんかこのカーブが先ですね。
この内側カーブですね。
そう、これ先ですね。そう。今日は10時からパーティーですね。そう。僕紙まだ見てないんですが、多分昨日の残ったものはちょっと見てください。はい。Okay, it's working out well. Just coming to the end of this dot area here, just as the timing is coming up, 9:26. One more dot. All these stories are going back and forth now. So Kawai-san's experience was not so good somewhere else. So. it'll be interesting to watch these stories. You know, I tell a story once, and somebody else repeats it on Twitch to somebody else. What's the name of that game? Telephone, where the story gets told and told and told and changed as it goes along. It's going to be very interesting to see how these play out. Or also, too, you know, I'm getting, you know, a bit older bit by bit by bit. And then whatever, I'm on Twitch a year from now, someone's going to ask something. I tell the story again. Will I remember it the same way? You know how things are. Once you tell stories, they start to change and transform. And this is going to be an interesting documentation for me, because these stories are now getting sort of put down, written down. And if they change too much when I tell them again, their veracity starts to come into question. Wait a minute, that's not what he told us last time. It's going to be very much fun watching this and seeing how it plays out. Okay, the schedule coming up. This is Saturday morning. I know it depends on how busy the shop is later this afternoon. I barely made it yesterday. The plan is to have a session at 5:30 Tokyo time. This is this afternoon, evening for the Europeans. And tomorrow is Sunday, but that's no difference to us. I'll be here, I believe, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, for the normal morning session. And of course, it's still Octopus. We're still quite a ways away from being anywhere near finished this block. There's a very small amount of tentacle left, then there's the main octopus bodies, which have dots all over them. And then it'll be the fun stuff, the eyes and the hair on her face. That'll be fun. Once we get to that part, that's awfully small. I'm not sure this block, as I mentioned before, when I get here in a few days, I'll be carving on this block, but I don't think the wood has enough guts and body to survive well. So we're going to try it. We'll carve it, we'll test print it, we'll proof it. But I can guess that what's probably going to happen is I'll end up carving her face again on a piece of boxwood. And that the final printing of the thing, the key block, will be done in 2 stages. The main loose block and then putting her face in separately. We'll see. Don't cross that bridge till we get to it. Okay, Ken. Thanks very much for going along. I'm going to have a lot of fun reading the thread today. Francis, thank you very much for all the information you've been inputting. I wasn't joking about Twitch, Please consider it. It would be really fun to have more than one woodblock person doing this. We could start our own, what's it called? Not a channel. Start our own category on Twitch. Thanks very much, everybody. I'm signing off. See you later. This is fun.